The top cop who put his badge on the line for justice.
The gripping story of Deputy Sheriff Doug Poppa. He was a top cop who did the right thing and paid dearly for it.
You know the name Doug Poppa?
Yes, I do. God bless Doug Poppa, an honest cop.
He was a man of integrity. His testimony last summer freed an innocent man from jail who had already been convicted of shooting his ex-wife. But Poppa's going public cost him his job as an undercover cop.
I was elated, of course, but then as he testified, I was somewhat concerned for him, because I knew that they were probably going to crucify that man.
Doug Poppa was targeted for a 10-day suspension by his own department for defying superiors and talking to the media. This Brooklyn-born street fighter wouldn't back down.
Sometimes the truth has a price. That may be the lesson of a Virginia police officer who says, in trying to do the right thing, he ended up paying for it.
The message you're sending is, see, we did it, Doug. You don't come out, you don't buck the system. No matter what the reason is, you just can basically keep your mouth shut. But if I wouldn't do it all over again, I would take the badge and I would leave it on somebody's desk and get out of police work. Because the day I can tell the truth because somebody's pressuring me, and the day the system doesn't want me to tell the truth because somebody's pressuring me, is the day I leave the badge on the desk and walk away.
Poppa was fired for insubordination. One man who confronted truth and consequences.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, from Las Vegas, Nevada. This is the Doug Poppa Podcast for Sunday, July 9th, 2023. This is episode 151. Ladies and gentlemen, before I get to the main body of this podcast, I want to read a couple of things here that I put out on Twitter over the past couple of days. The first thing I want to put up on the screen here, let me get a shot of this guy's face. Okay. I think it was the second to last podcast I did. I talked about a Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department police officer, now retired, who, when they tell officers to reduce the crime classifications on crime reports, so violent felonies, sexual assaults, and robberies are downgraded to misdemeanors whenever they can. And I said that one officer told him basically, shove it, he wasn't going to do it. I said he's now retired. Well, that's the gentleman you see up on the screen there. He's retired now. That's veteran officer Eddie Leneve. He's a former robbery detective. Before he retired, he was out at the Airport Bureau. And you can go back, and I'll have the link into this episode. It was episode 74 when I broke that story, and that was from November 14th, of 2021, and I did a follow-up story when Sheriff Lombardo had his deputy chief at the time, Andrew Walsh, harassed this guy and asked him if he was my source of information, which he wasn't, but they harassed him anyway. And like I said in that episode, they worry about who's leaking information when they should be worried about the stuff they've been doing that's not only some of it criminal, but unethical on the police department for years. And nobody has the guts in the chain of command to come out and say anything about it to stop it. But this one police officer, Eddie Leneve, did. He was a hero police officer for trying to save somebody's life years ago, and he basically told them, fuck you, I'm not changing my report. Anyway, it's a long episode. Well, it's only about a 15-minute episode, but it's very interesting, well worth watching. So that's Eddie Leneve there. Just wanted, because I forgot his name on the podcast, and I was going brain dead, but that's him. That's Eddie Leneve, a good man. The guy had some guts, and he stuck by his principles and did the right thing. So, I'll read something here. It was on I get a lot of responses on these podcasts on YouTube and Twitter. Of course, I can't answer most of the things on there. Some of them are bots. Some of the people they use aliases and monikers. And I don't have the time to answer the real people, let alone these people. But anyway, this one person under an alias, I can't see what it was, but they said, I watched the interview talking about Angel with, quote, Are They Really Here? The podcast I talked about in the other podcast that he was on from Canada. He gave you credit for breaking the news. now you are saying that his credibility is shot because of some inconsistency. I think you are being a little harsh. A lot of what he talked about was answers to what his opinion was. Remember, he's only 16. I'm sure he will be crushed that he trusted you with his story. Well, I responded, one of the few times I respond on social media. I said, giving me credit for breaking the story has no bearing on my investigation. I'm trying to get to the truth. Exposing what I believe to be untruths and inconsistencies is part of my investigation. Remember, Angel reached out to me on May 27th when I returned to the neighborhood and was talking to his neighbors. Enough said on that. And that's true, ladies and gentlemen. I talked about in the other podcast. Remember, the first interview with them, where it was like pulling teeth, was on May 19th. And then I said that I had gone back on May 27th, not thinking I was going to get an interview, but to talk to the neighbors. And, the one neighbor next door said she heard a thump, but, she heard a thump. What that thump was, I don't know. She heard a thump. Other neighbors I talked to didn't hear or know anything. One neighbor family said that the only way they knew about it is that Angel came over and was talking to them about it, or somebody from the family, sometime after it happened. But, I was asking people if they had videos or anything like that, and nobody had nothing. So at least that's what they told me, and I have no reason to doubt them. And then when I was out there, Angel saw me walking up and down the neighborhood, and he came out of the house, and he said, Doug, we'll talk to you now. We're eating, but we'll talk to you. And I said, I'm still checking your neighbors. I'll be there in a second. So that's how I went back on May 27th and got the longer interview with them. Now, I got a lot of emails and from people that, that I know a lot about this. I broke the story, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I broke this story, okay? And get to that in a second. Just hold it out. And I have a responsibility, not only to myself, to the people that I put out on podcasts and stuff, to find out just what the hell went on with this alleged UFO alien sighting incident. So that's what I do. But I got a lot of emails from people saying there's news reporters out there that were saying that the cameras were pulled out on June 10th, and that's false. I guess one was somebody from News Nation put out that the cameras were taken out on June 10th. It was not true. And then I guess David Chons from 8 News Now, the I-team out here, he responded on Twitter, and it bounced over to my Twitter also on June 30th. And he's responding to somebody, and he says, the last complaint to Metro, meaning about the family, Metro Police, was June 12th. I believe the cameras were removed around then. Now, this guy's the 8 News Now I-team, and he listen, whether he saw my podcast or not, but the cameras were not pulled out around June 12th. The cameras were pulled out 3 days before, like the family told me, when I went back on May 27th, so around May 23rd, which was when my second podcast was published. And then I guess the News Nation reporter, people told me also, said that the cameras were uninstalled. She made a mistake. It didn't, that's not true. The cameras were pulled out, like I said, somewhere around May 23rd, and they were never reinstalled. So I'm not responsible for what other reporters say, but when I hear about it, I will fix it as much as I can. June 30th, I put this out on my Twitter, and I said, update, the Vegas alien incident stinks worse than the Gowanus Canal. If you didn't grow up in Brooklyn, you probably wouldn't know what the Gowanus Canal was, but when I was growing up, it was a canal that stunk to high heaven. It was all kind of trash in there, so that's what the Gowanus Canal was. Whether it still stinks today, I don't know. New info based on my analysis in next episode 151. 2 factions at play. Number 1, pro-UFO folks who see an alien behind every bush, and 2, detractor folks. In the middle is me, only wants to uncover the truth. And that's true, ladies and gentlemen. You see all these podcasts are out there that, I don't watch any of these stuff. I see a couple of clips people send me. You have the hardcore UFO folks. It's a free country. You believe whatever you want, okay? That they see an alien behind every bush, every time an alien or a ghost, and that's what they believe in. That's what they follow, these paranormal podcasts and people on the news that for years have been talking about all this stuff with absolutely no freaking evidence. They believe it. That is your right to do, okay? I don't prescribe to that unless I see evidence. I go with the facts. And then you have on the other side, you have the people, the detractors, I call them. They're the ones who even if they saw something with their own eyes and there was physical evidence, they're going to come out and say it's not true. So because they believe everything, it has to be not true. So, and then in the middle of me, and then you have me in the middle, and other people like me who are just trying to find out just what the hell goes on with this incident and other cases that I investigate. So that's what I do. I get a lot of hate mail. There's a lot of 30, 40, and 50-year-old adolescents on social media that have nothing to do but sit there and hammer you. And, I don't answer these people. A lot of them are bots and stuff. But, grow up, okay? That's all I could say. If you don't like what I do, don't follow me. Don't watch my podcast. I never asked anybody to follow me. It's not going to stop me from doing what I've been doing for years, okay? Now, June 27th, I put this out. Remember about a couple of podcasts back, I talked about that a cop, somebody told me, one of the police sources, that there was some cop or something or somebody higher up years ago, and they put they had a camera installed that went to the counterterrorism center because they were getting threats. So I put this out the other day on June 27th, and I said exclusive breaking news. And ladies and gentlemen, when I say exclusive breaking news, okay, it's when I get the news, whether it happened recently or it happened a year ago. When I get it and I didn't know about it, to me that's breaking news, okay? Exclusive means it's exclusive to my podcast. I received the information. So I put that out June 27th, and I said the Doug Poppa podcast sources, Southern Nevada Counterterrorism Center cameras that were monitoring Sheriff McMahill's Henderson home were uninstalled by request of his wife after she threw McMahill out of the house because of the affair with his assistant sheriff, Sasha Larkin. And then I said TASS, but it's pronounced TASS, that means the Technical and Surveillance Squad, you know that from my other podcast, removed the cameras, police sources say. And that's true. And I was told that the reason why they were monitoring his house in Henderson is because there was some threat or perceived threat at some time. And then when his wife threw him out because she found out about the affair, and I talked about that on Twitter, that'll be another podcast I'm doing, she wanted the cameras uninstalled, and I was told by police sources that Taz did come out and uninstall the cameras on his Henderson home. And he's not living there. He's living with, from my information I got, with one of his friends on the police department. So anyway, that has nothing to do with the aliens, but it has to do with the cameras. Now, I was also told that years ago, before Joe Lombardo, the corrupt sheriff who's now the governor, was sheriff, there was a sheriff called Doug Gillespie. And they had some threat or something against him, started making a threat, and they did install a camera at his house that was monitored for a couple of days or a week or something, and then they pulled it out. But these are police officers. Metro, like I said, installing cameras on citizens' homes because they feel they're going to be harassed or harmed. That's what Metro put out, and I said the other day that that's bullshit, and I still stand by that. And ladies and gentlemen, I have a lot more that's under investigation relating to this incident that I can't talk about right now. I've got some information coming in on something else and some other things I've been working on, and as I feel comfortable through my investigation, I will update you on future podcasts. Again, July 6th, I put this out. Still working on episode 151. Which is this episode here. The last one was 150. And I said the alleged Las Vegas UFO landing and alien sighting that, in my opinion, did not occur. I will give new details on why I stand by what I said in episode 150. And you remember in episode 150, I'm calling it a hoax. Okay? And let's get this up on the screen here. Okay, let's get this up here. This is, so when I used to do these old podcasts where you didn't see me, that they were much more professional in my opinion, because I'd be able to do the production and then have my audio track and get the stuff up on the screen, but everybody wanted to see me talking, so that's why I end up doing it like this. I don't like doing it like this because I don't think it's as professional as the old podcast I did a year or two ago when I started the podcast, where you didn't see me and you have the audio track and everything, but people want it, because this is extremely nerve-wracking to do this, and I got to do all these inputs myself while I'm talking and looking at notes and push this button and that button, but everybody wants to see me talking. Listen, people, I don't look like I did 30 years ago. I'm not much to look at, but everybody wants to see me talking, so yeah, we'll have to deal with it. Okay, this is number 18 input. And I put this out on Twitter, and everybody went crazy. Let me get my title off there for a minute. Okay. And I said, yesterday I put this out. I said, an object, reportedly a meteor, descending from the sky on April 30th, 2023, was fact, not a hoax. And then video, this is a screenshot of the video. Remember, I had this video on my first podcast, the house that was on the south side of the strip, facing north. And I said video compliments of 702 Times, because 702 Times was the media outlet on Twitter that put that out right after May 1st. So, and you could see the what turns out to be a meteor, according to NASA and the Meteorological Society. I have no doubt that that was not a meteor. So I put that out, and then people go absolutely crazy and start saying, you know, it's a spaceship and everything else. If that's what you want to believe, believe, okay? But it's a free country. Believe what you want to believe. Let's get rid of that one. Okay. Do that one later. I put this one out on July 7th. Okay, with my title. And that's the photo I took with the video of the surveillance camera when I was at the house on May 19th. And I said, the LVMPD police video/audio surveillance system with microwave link to the Southern Nevada Counterterrorism Center that was installed at the home by the Homeland Security Division was fact, not a hoax. The reason they were installed, as stated by the LVMPD, was a hoax. We know. I broke that story with the cameras, and Metro came out and said, well, they put him in for a couple of days because of the family safety. It was all bullshit, and I still stand by that. It's not, and I will get to the bottom of this in an upcoming podcast. That was not a hoax. The cameras were there. Metro admitted they had the cameras. The hoax was about the cameras is when they said they put him in for the family safety. That is a hoax, okay? And they need to come out and tell everybody why they did it. Whether that happens, I don't know, but I will get to the bottom of it. Okay. Okay, let me do this one first. Then yesterday I put this out just to be funny. You know, people say you don't have a sense of humor, and I said, well, my sense of humor went out the door years ago for the most part. But let's get this up on the screen here. Okay. Get rid of that one. This one up here. Okay, I put this out yesterday, and I said the Las Vegas May 1st alleged UFO landing and alien sighting, that was a hoax. More on that in episode 151 of the Doug Poppa podcast, out soon. Okay? And the reason why I said that is because I said in 150, no spacecraft landed. In my opinion, that was a hoax. There were no non-human creatures in that backyard, and that's the hoax. Okay? What's not a hoax is that, and we'll get into this a little further down, is that, you know, the angel saw, and his brother saw something coming down from the sky, which was the meteor. So when they called in the police, said something coming down the sky, that's not a hoax. What they saw in that backyard, whatever they believe that they saw, shadows, whatever, ghost or whatever, that's what they believe. But there is no evidence that a spacecraft landed or a non-human creatures were in that backyard. So when anybody says that's what they saw, to me, that is a hoax, and that's what I stand by, and we're going to talk about a little bit more in this podcast. I'm not going to rehash a lot of the stuff I did in the other podcast, so I'll be here for hours, but I talked about a lot of stuff in the last episode, 150, of why I believe there was a hoax, okay? A hoax. The spacecraft, the aliens, that's a hoax, according to me, okay? According to me. You think something else, you're free to believe that. It's a free country, okay? I broke the story, and I'm going all the way with it until I get answers on everything. And that's what I do. That's the person I am. It's the investigator I am. Now, I put this out. Just listen to this little, get rid of him. Okay, I put this out yesterday, and then I'll tell you, and then I'll play the video. I said the Doug Poppa podcast, an LVMPD Homeland Security Division detective asking Angel to get my license plate number when I visited the home on May 19th was fact, not a hoax. While on the phone with her, Angel tells me, quote, we just have to keep the information under lock right now. That was not a hoax. We know because you're going to hear the video and the audio that I played on the other podcast. So her asking for my license plate and him telling her my name when I showed him my ID from the Baltimore Post-Examiner. And he lied to me that day, folks. You remember from the other podcast. He told me he was talking to a reporter. And then later on, he changed. He said it was a detective. And I found off my sources it was a detective, a counterterrorism detective assigned to the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department's Homeland Security Division. So, first he said it was a reporter, and then he changed to a detective. And I confirmed through my sources who told me, and I have the name of the female detective that I'm still trying to confirm because to make sure before and whether I'll put it out or not, I don't know, but I have a name, and she is a counterterrorism detective assigned to the Homeland Security Bureau. So listen to this little thing here for a second.
Well, I talked to the people who called in the complaint on May 1st, 12:30 in the morning, reference to something falling out of the sky.
Yeah, there's some. We just gotta keep the information a little bit locked right now. You can.
How you doing? How you doing?
Angel,
Yeah.
can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Can you get his plate? His license plate?
I'm gonna get your license plate.
Okay, just crossing stuff out because, like I said, a lot of times I do these podcasts, I got a lot of inputs, I want to get stuff out, and then after I do them, I look at my notes, and I said, wow, I forgot to get that up. So as we go along, I'm crossing out some stuff that we already had. So we showed the cameras from 19th, we showed the meteor, the UFO, alien hoax. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move on here. Remember on the first podcast, I had the unredacted that somebody leaked to me. I didn't get it through Freedom of Information or through records check with Metro, the Communications Bureau log from May 1st. And I said in there, I don't have it on the screen here, but I'm just looking at my notes, at 0029 hours is when the incident was created by the dispatcher when they had called in. That was 29 minutes after midnight on May 1st. And then, like I said in that first episode, 142, she assigned the primary officer to respond as one David Paul 68. And I said that stands for direct patrol, which are not like X-ray units. They usually don't get calls unless they're busy, and they do proactive stuff anyway. So primary officer, one David Paul 68, and I said that, according to the log they had, that officer was Matthew Muzdeka. And then as a backup officer, she put in the log, it's one David Paul 62. And I said in episode 142 that was Officer Curtis Slate. And then according to the dispatch log, at 1:03 a.m. in the morning on May 1st, Officer Curtis Slate, who was the backup officer, DP 62, he goes on the radio, according to the dispatch log, and says he's out with the PR, meaning the reporting person, he's out at the home. And then at 01:23 a.m. in the morning on May 1st, one David Paul 68 gets on the radio because he was the primary officer, and he says code 4, and you'll see the video later on this, which means that it's code 4. They're leaving the residence. So they were there for at least 20 minutes. So I'm saying this because it's going to be important to stuff that I'm talking about later in here. Just before we go any further, 8 News Now did a news broadcast last week, I believe, and they announced that the family hired a Los Angeles-based attorney. I think his name was Sam Hadari. I think he's out here in Vegas also, but it's a Los Angeles law firm. And he said he wasn't hired anything about the UFOs, but he believed that the family's telling the truth. But he was hired because he wanted to let people know that you can get shot and get hurt by trespassing on their property, because the family could think you're somebody else, or they can't tell you if you're a good guy, bad guy in the yard. So he's putting that out, and I don't know why you had to hire an attorney for that. If you're stupid enough to trespass in somebody's yard, especially in Las Vegas, and you end up getting shot, you know what? You stay off the goddamn fucking property. You don't go into people's backyard and jump on walls. It's a good way to get shot. So that's what I have to say on that. But before I forget, now that they have an attorney, remember when Angel did that video, I think it was on June 12th, it was in the last podcast, and he's crying the blues. He wants to be left alone and move on people and forget about it. Well, people aren't going to forget about it, and I'm not going to forget about it until I get to the bottom of this, until everything involved in this that I'm investigating. Like I said at the beginning of the podcast, I'm investigating other aspects of this that's still under investigation. So there'll be a future podcast coming out at the Doug Poppa podcast on this. But I can remember, Angel did the YouTube video. And ladies and gentlemen, he talked to me about that before he did the YouTube video. We were on the phone talking one day, and he says, maybe I should do I said, yeah, you can record it, tell people what happened, and get it out there if that's what you want to do. It's a free country. And he ended up doing it, okay? And then he also went on the podcast, Are They Really Here?, the UFO podcast from Canada, and he went on there on June 10th and June 11th. He did it himself, and talked about there was going to be a big part 2 coming out and more photos of aliens and everything. Of course, that never came out. And then all of a sudden, I think when he realized this is a snowball getting bigger as it's rolling down, and he didn't tell the truth on a lot of stuff, in my opinion, is when he wants no part of anything anymore and wants people to forget about it. But no part 2 ever came out. I just want to get that out. Oh, forgot to say that. They got an attorney, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Now, this is to the family. Now, family that I interviewed with, now that you have an attorney, have the attorney request from Metro the unredacted body cam video of both of those officers, unredacted, and you can ask for that because it's the family asking for that, and then give it to the news media, a reliable news media, who will play the whole thing when you get it. Because you can ask Metro for that and say, we want to see the unredacted video, so we'll end the mystery of what went on in that backyard that was redacted that we didn't see. And they can do that, okay? Whether they do that, I don't know. But that's what I would do if I was a family. Let's get all this out in the open. And they can do that. So, get that out. Okay. Remember I said in episode 1, see, ladies and gentlemen, I've been an investigator for, most of my life. And I look at things that people don't look at. I look at inconsistencies, untruths, embellishments. That all goes to somebody's credibility. And like I said in that last podcast, Angel's credibility with me is down the tubes, okay? And like I said, it's a hoax. No spacecraft landed, as far as I'm concerned. No non-human creatures were back there. And we'll talk more about that later. Remember when I talked on 142, on May 19th, when I was up there, one of the first things he said to me was, do you pay for information? And I told him no, because I don't. I mean, there may be reporters out there that do, but I don't. I never had to pay anybody for information, because once you pay for information, they're now your agent. So you can tell them what to say. So that bothered me, and I said that in the first podcast. Remember, he also said in that episode, and let me play that here. He said, the cops were scared and they left. And you saw my response to him. And I did, but ladies and gentlemen, remember, the body cam videos came out after May 27th, which was my second video. His YouTube video came out on June 8th, after my interview on May 27th. When he was on the podcast from Canada, that was June 10th and 11th, after my last interview with him. So I got a lot of new information that I was working on based on all that I didn't have originally, which led me to believe on my last podcast that this is a hoax. And more so even today on this podcast. And we'll see here in a couple of minutes, okay? So do you pay for information? No. Cops were scared and they left. And you heard my response to him. I said, well, I got the communications log, and they were here like 20 minutes. So that was a lie. The Metro police officers didn't show up and leave and didn't do nothing. That's what he said. They were scared and they left. And then he said they didn't believe in UFOs. And you'll hear that in a second on this little video clip. And I'm glad he said that to me, ladies and gentlemen, on May 19th. Because if he would have said to me, what I saw coming down in the sky was a fallen angel, and I thought they were demons, and some lady 2 months before told me that demons were going to come down and eat Las Vegas, I would have said, have a nice day. You can call up some local reporters that handle this type of stuff or somebody else. I'm out of there. But I'm glad he said the cops didn't believe in UFOs and they got scared and they left. We know that that is not true. And remember, like I said before, he originally told me the person he was talking to on the phone that day was a female reporter, and that wasn't true. It was the detective. Okay, these are all things that, to me, as an investigator, goes to somebody's credibility. So let's look at, listen to this for a couple of seconds here.
And the officers came out and took a report.
Yeah.
When they came out, were they professional? Did they handle everything correctly, you think, when they came out?
They did not.
They didn't?
No, the first cops, no.
What didn't they do?
I told them what happened. They got scared and they left.
They what?
They got scared and they left. I know it's crazy to believe, huh? I know it's crazy if you don't believe in UFOs and stuff like that.
Okay. As far as I'm concerned, ladies and gentlemen, that statement is a lie. You can call it whatever you want, politically correct, untruth. It's a lie. The cops, we know, didn't show up and were scared and left. They were there for over 20 minutes. I'll get to more of that here in a couple of minutes. Okay. Let me play this first. Listen to this. It's a short clip. It's how the story changed with Angel. From the time he told me on the audio recording that I played in episode 145 on May 27th, and then what the father said on May 1st when the cops were there, and then what Angel says in his YouTube. It's a short excerpt, and you could see where nothing's jiving, okay?
Did you see anything land in your backyard, or?
They see like a big, that's what they say. They see like a big something with light.
Can we go that side? I want to
Yeah,
speak to you.
yeah, we can go look.
Okay, so I was in my backyard in front of the house. I was fixing a truck for my dad and my brother, and we're moving this car, and then out of nowhere we just see something. We heard a noise, but as the noise was coming down, you can see a big light reflecting it, and when it fall down, you can feel the big impact. So this is what happened to me. Keep in mind, this is midnight, and I'm fixing a truck in my backyard. At this point, I'm only with my brother, and I hear something fall from the sky.
Okay. The father told the police when they were there, they saw something come down. They, not me. He didn't see it. Angel tells me he's working on the car with his father and his brother. Then he does his YouTube channel after May 27th on June 8th, and he says now he's with the brother and alone and him. So to me, ladies and gentlemen, that goes to credibility of his story, and you can think what you want, but as me as an investigator, it just keeps adding on to this. Okay, now I'm going to put this up on the screen here. Okay, here we go here. Okay, what are we looking at here? I already showed this in the other podcast. This is, it says May 1st, 1:37 a.m., and it shows the circular depression in the ground, okay? That's what Angel showed me when I was at the house on May 27th. He had it on the big screen, and I said, send it to me through my email, and he did, and he told me that he took that shot when in the backyard with the police while the police were there, when the cop pointed out the circular depression in the yard. And he told me that the cop was with them, and that's when he took the photograph. Okay, so you just saw the photograph, and you saw the date on it and the time. One more time, May 1st, 01:37 a.m. Okay, get rid of that. I got to knock these things off here because there's so many inputs, and I don't want to forget anything. So let's scratch that out. Now, I want you to listen to this little excerpt. This is from my interview with him on May 27th. When did you observe this circle in the gravel?
When the cops came.
Angel actually snapped photographs. You'll see that on the screen, and it says 1:37 a.m. on May 1st.
One of the cops told me, he showed me the circles, like, look at this. He's like, well, was this here? I was like, no. He showed me the circle. He's like, look at that. And all of us were...
And that's when you took the photograph?
Yes.
So when that happened, the only thing I can see in the backyard is a tall creature, probably around 8.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. You heard what he said. That's what he told me. That's what he told me on the recording. That's what he told me in person several times when I asked him. And he said the cop pointed the circle out to him, and that's when he took the photograph in the backyard when the cop was there. And we know from the other podcast that that circle was there for a year at least going back to December to the photo I pushed. But my point being on this is there's no way that he took that photograph at 1:47 in the morning, 1:37 in the morning on May 1st when the cop was there, because the cops had left at 01:23, according to the dispatch log and according to the video you're going to see. So that's another thing that he's lying about. People say, well, maybe he's confused. Makes no difference to me, ladies and gentlemen. It's another inconsistent. I consider that a lie because I needed to know whether that photo was taken while the cop was there that he said pointed out the circle to him, and you heard him say, yes, that's when I took the photo. Well, there's no way in the world he could have taken that photo while the cop was there at 1:37 because the police were already off the property about 15 minutes before that. Ladies and gentlemen, think what you want, okay? I don't care what you think. I'm doing an investigative podcast. If you don't like what I'm doing, don't listen to my podcast. Okay. I want you to listen to this. Short excerpt. This is from his YouTube channel on June 8th.
So when that happened, the only thing I can see in the backyard is a tall creature, probably around 8-10 feet tall, very thin. So I called my dad. He went to the backyard and he saw the same creature I saw. He told me to go inside the house. At this point, we all freaking out, me and my family. And here's the video where we were in the backyard area. You cannot see it too good, but on camera, but it's there. Here's the video.
¡Ay! ¡Permisar! Calmungarela, me canceles var eso. Cáelo, cherro, que chile. Cáelo, cherro.
Moments after the video, me and my brother went to go pick up my tools. Then my brother calls me, and he told me shakingly, look behind the forklift. So I look. Keep in mind I'm facing the forklift, and then I see the alien creature. So when I saw it, it was a tall, skinny, lengthy creature. He was a gray, greenish color, and when I looked at it in the eyes, my body just froze. Like the same experience as having sleep paralysis. Keep in mind I'm staring at him, and I look at his whole body, and he has a weird looking feet and a big face and eyes, and you can see a big mouth. And I could hear his loud, deep breathing, and I could see his stomach moving. He would just stare at me. Seconds later, I could start moving again. And I start running towards the house. That's when I call 911.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is a different version. That's not what he told me originally. Now, you saw the video, which is not all the video. He did not produce all that video. There's still more part of that video, and I'll get to in a second. He doesn't show the whole thing on his YouTube channel, but now the family saw whatever's in the yard, and then they went back inside, and then he says him and his brother go to collect tools after they were supposedly terrorized, like the news is saying. They were not terrorized. You can actually see it from that video. And then after the family left, he says they went inside, then him and his brother go to retrieve the tools, and then they see the alien, and then they're paralyzed. So when the hell did they get paralyzed? Then, or like you told me, when the craft came down, they were looking at the thing, and then the alien, and they paralyzed everybody. Now the family was inside when they were paralyzed. Well, why didn't the family get paralyzed when they went halfway into the yacht? Okay, nobody's paralyzed. There's no video anywhere of anybody being paralyzed. So to me, that bothers me. And another thing, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to point out that when he talks on that YouTube video, you can go back and look at the whole thing on the other episodes. I think it's on the last one and the one before that. All Angel kept telling me, he kept reiterating when I was talking to him, both in person, even on the phone. He just kept all the time. We're Christians. We believe in God. We believe in Jesus. We believe in God. We believe in God. Okay? Okay. People's religion is fine. This is not a religious podcast. But what the hell does religion have to do with him seeing what they said they saw, trying to convince me that maybe he's telling the truth because he's religious, but a lot of religious people commit crimes and lie. So that goes out the door with me. It doesn't mean nothing to me, okay? And remember, in that video that he produced, I believe, because we talked about it, he saw my first podcast. When I said the Ring camera was from another area of Vegas, and my police officers were telling me that the date and time on it didn't even correlate with May 1st, and I said, so we throw that out the window. I said that in the first podcast, and I said it again in the last podcast. But on his YouTube video, when he introduced himself, he says, I want to show you a Ring camera from the neighborhood that confirms what I saw, okay? That was a lie, because the Ring camera was not in his neighborhood, wasn't even on the same day, wasn't even on the same freaking month. But he put that in there again, I believe, to say, listen, I'm telling the truth. And then he says also, you go back and look at the video, okay? Don't take my word for it. And he says, let me show you the police body cam video because they saw also what I saw. The police saw it. Yeah, a meteor coming down. That was a freaking meteor. So put all that stuff in there. And then when he, in that YouTube video, just like the lady said, he says, I gave an interview to Doug Poppa, journalist. I believe he says all that because he's trying to give his version a legitimacy. That is my opinion. If you don't believe that, that's your own opinion. But my opinion is he says all that because he's trying to give legitimacy to the YouTube video he put out that's contradictory at the least on what he told me and made other statements. You know, the father was there, the father wasn't there, it was me and my brother. You know, we were paralyzed when the thing came down, the thing looked at us. Now the family goes in the house, nobody's paralyzed, and he goes back out to collect his tools after being terrified. Now they're paralyzed. BS, people. It's all BS. Okay? My opinion. Okay. He said a couple times, I think, on the UFO podcast that the cops told him that if the creatures come back to get a gun and shoot them, to shoot them. And no cop ever said that on any police body cam video that you'll hear shortly some excerpts of. So I don't know. So I was, well, maybe just misconstruing. The cop said, handle it yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a 16-year-old kid. This kid's not stupid, okay? No cop ever told him if it comes back, shoot him, shoot them. So I'm bringing it out just because that goes to credibility with me. Remember what I said in episode 142, when I was out there on May 19th, the initial interview with them, the mother came out and told me, she said, she made the remark, you know, they're kids, they watch YouTube, all those conspiracy stuff on YouTube and TV, okay? Didn't mean much then, but it means a lot now, okay? He makes the comment, again, I'm not going to get into religious battle with people, you believe what you want, but he's made comments on that the video, and then I believe also on actually on the podcast from Canada, he said that, you know, we're Christians, the Bible says that aliens are demons. I don't know what part of the Bible he's looking at because no Bible I ever read mentioned anything about space demons. Yes, there's passages in there you can misconstrue and use semantics, but there's nothing about space aliens in the Bible, okay? That's just what I want to say there. So anyway, I want to bring this out here, okay? We'll do this now. Okay, remember I said he didn't show the whole video on his YouTube channel? When he did that, he didn't. Because a couple of days later, this guy, or person, okay, let me put up here, somebody identified themselves, and that's if you go on the internet now, and that's what you pull up on the internet. It doesn't exist. But anyway, a person who identified himself as Jethro Corey at a YouTube channel, and he said he put the rest of the video, the more clear version of when they go back in the yard and they're all the way back there and they're looking at the tractors and stuff. He published that on his YouTube channel, identified himself as a cousin of Angel and the family, and he said there were 4 aliens in the video I'm showing you right now. Well, there's not even 2 aliens in the first video, and there's no 4 aliens in the video. People were asking him in the comment section, can you tell us what language they're speaking? And he says, we're Romanian gypsies. That's what he says. And then that video channel, that YouTube channel, as you can see, that's an old entry from the internet, but it was pulled down and it doesn't exist anymore. And that was the person identifying himself as Jeff Corey, Corry. And I've been doing some checking, and so far my background checks can't come up with anything on that name. But then again, he did play the whole video that Angel didn't show. And like I said, identified himself as a cousin and said they're speaking Romanian Gypsy language, and that's what they're talking. So just want to get that out there because none of this makes any freaking sense. People, you've been sending me photos and all kinds of videos. I looked at those videos that are out there. I use filters and everything else, and there's nothing in there but shadows, light reflections, and everything else. There's nothing in there. There's no alien creatures or non-human creatures in there. If you believe you see something in there, more power to you. That's your belief. But there's nothing in those videos. And remember something, ladies and gentlemen, the creatures they were looking at, supposedly, were not half invisible. Angel says he saw them. He described the color of their skin, green. He describes their face. He describes seeing their blinking and eyebrows. He described in the YouTube channel from the podcast from Canada, their long, skinny hands. He describes their feet. He said he saw their ribs. He saw them breathing. He saw canine teeth. So he didn't see, in my opinion, he didn't see nothing, okay? Because if he saw those creatures like that, they would be completely visible in the video that we have, and we have no physical evidence of nothing landing and no non-human creatures, okay? That's my opinion. Your opinion may be different, and you're entitled to your own opinion, but that is my opinion based on my investigation. Okay, we got, okay, let's put this out here. I want to get all this out there. Putting this up here. I'll tell you why I'm putting this up. Okay, this is that he showed this on his YouTube channel. I think he showed it on the podcast in Canada also, okay? That's what he shows in his YouTube channel on June 8th when he plays the audio that I think came from Channel 8, that got it from the police, the communications, a couple of seconds of him talking. And I asked him, now look at I asked him, let me get it off the screen for a second, okay? I asked him, I said, did you record your conversation with the dispatcher? Because to me, that would have been really suspicious. Like that would have been like set up to do something, later on. And he said, no. Now, I don't know if he's telling me the truth. He said, no, I played the news of me talking to the dispatcher, and I showed this picture at the time, which he did. But you notice something, ladies and gentlemen. It says 12:25 a.m., 10 minutes. Okay, and I believe that is from his cell phone. I have no reason to doubt that is from his cell phone. But why am I talking about it? Because he's on the phone with them for 10 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, the audio that we heard from the news of him talking to the dispatcher, okay, was only a couple of seconds. Where's the rest of his communication with the dispatcher? I want to see and I want to hear everything. Where is the father on the phone, or the person who identified himself as the father, when he says, I saw the creatures too in the backyard? The dispatcher logs in, father on the phone now, as you've seen from that 142 when I had the Dispatch Communication Center Bureau log. Father now on the phone says he saw creatures too 10, 15 minutes ago. Where's that audio? Now, I think it was Channel 8 that got that. Do they have all that and only played a bit of it, or Metro only gave them that little section, that little segment of it? But some news agency, hello, because I don't have the money to do this. Like I said, I don't have money to do this. I'm on Social Security. Somebody needs to get that full communication. Now, of course, they'll redact the last name and cell phone number and stuff like that. But if that conversation lasted for 10 minutes, I want to know what the hell was going on in that phone and what they said for 10 minutes, both him and the father. That's what I want to know as an investigator. If you don't want to know, then don't worry about it. But I want to know. So we played that. That's my point on that. Okay. Before I get to, I asked him also, when I was talking to him, I said, you guys use drugs, use alcohol and stuff like that. And Angel said, no, we don't drink. We don't drink alcohol. We don't drink. Now, that's what he said. I mean, maybe they weren't drinking that night. I don't know. But he says, no, we don't drink. We don't drink alcohol. So I was going back on my video the other day, and I was looking at this, and that's why I'm only saying it, just because I saw it. This is 25. Okay, let me blow it up. That's from the video from May 19th when I was there, and that's the brother taking case or cases of Dos Equis, it's ex-beer, it's Mexican beer, Dos Equis, out of the truck. So, but I asked him, I says, do you drink? He goes, no, we're Christians, whatever, we don't drink alcohol. Well, there's plenty of Christians who drink alcohol, but I'm just saying, it may mean nothing, but somebody drinks alcohol because they're taking cases of beer out of the house. Now, I got a lot more stuff, people, but I can't put everything in this podcast. It'll be too long, but I'm getting the important stuff out in this. Right? So, here. Okay. I'm going to play some, what do we got over here? That one. We did the circle, right? We did the 9/11, get rid of that. I'm going to play some of the body cam, real important, ladies and gentlemen. I miss stuff, and you always miss stuff as an investigator because nobody's perfect, and you always got to go back from the start. I mean, that's the first rule in investigations. Always go back to the start and see what you missed. A lot of investigators don't do that. Good ones do, and I'm a good one, okay? In my opinion. You don't think so? That's your opinion. You're entitled to your freaking opinion. Okay, I'm going to put this up on, because it's going to be mentioned here. Okay, this is a screenshot of taken from the police body cam video. That's Angel's brother on the left, Angel in the center, and an unidentified family member with a beard on the right. And I'm only showing this because he says something to the cops you'll hear about shortly. I never met that person. I do not know who he is or what the relation is to the family. When I was there on, when I met the family, this is who I met. And I just do this from just an investigative point. Okay. And you saw the body cam video with the father in it and Angel and the brother and this guy and everything, so I'm not showing anything that's freaking secret. But this is from May 19th when I was talking to them, and that's Angel. That's his brother, shaking my hand. That's the dad, who I said had the CCW on, not CCW, the open carry permit on his hip, and he didn't want to talk when Angel talked to him in the language, and he didn't want to talk to me. Those are the three people I talked to, plus a little bit with the mom. And those are the same people you see in the police body cam video. But also on that day, and I think you saw it a little bit when I put that little snippet when he's talking to the detective, there was another guy there that day on May 19th that does not look like the guy with the beard that was there on May 1st. Another family member, I don't know, not important, but I'm just pointing this out just because I point things out. A lot of people say you point stuff out, and sometimes you don't say. Ladies and gentlemen, when I was writing stories for the Baltimore Post-Examiner, let me get this off the screen here. Cross out some stuff here, so make sure you guys are getting everything that I've done. Okay. When I was writing stories for the Baltimore Post-Examiner, I didn't write just articles and stories. I wrote like I was writing an investigative report, especially when I was doing the stories on the Land Kaufman murders and over 160 stories on the massacre. I wrote it like I was writing a police investigative report. And I do the same thing on my podcast. And the reason for that is very simple to me, okay, is because somewhere down the road, okay, what I say in the podcast, I want it documented because something may be important down the road or another contradiction may come out or an addition. So I want to make sure I get everything out so I can go back myself and do my research in my previous newspaper when I was writing for the Baltimore Post-Examiner or my podcast. So I say a lot of things that may not be important to you, but there's always a reason why I do things, and that is the big reason why I do it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into the body cam video, and this is very important because I missed something very, very important, okay? And I just want to make sure, okay, we talked about the cousins video, right? Get rid of that. Okay. Before we talk the body cam video, I made this little photo just because I like to see of who I'm doing research on. And this is, okay. These are photos taken from the body cam video. And the one on the left is 1 David Paul 62. That was Officer Curtis Slate who was there that night. And then on the right, you see 1 David Paul 68. That's their unit identifiers, and that's Officer Matthew Muzdecker. Okay, and so you got an idea of who's talking here when you hear me doing, because I did some transcription and stuff, which is important. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I missed this, and I kicked myself in the head the other night when I was going over this office. How could I miss this? And I did. So we're going to be talking about it. So to me, it's very, very important. Okay, so get those guys off the screen. Scratch them out. You can always go back and free shot and blow things up if you want. People say you don't put stuff on the screen long enough for us to see. Time purposes, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, the longer I make these videos, the more video excerpts I put in these podcasts, the longer it takes me to upload to YouTube. It takes hours. So I try to put in just the stuff pertinent to the podcast that I'm working on. And like I said, there's other aspects of this that I have under investigation. Those cameras, police cameras, that's my top priority. And other aspects of this is going on. I received some information the other day that I can verify, that I know myself, that the cameras that went into that home had absolutely nothing to do with the family safety. But I got other stuff come in. I can't get into all that right now, but I will at some point. Okay, so we show the angel and his brother. We show the father. Okay, I talked about with the videos, when were they paralyzed? Were they paralyzed when nobody was paralyzed in any of the video that he showed with the family? So we already talked about that. Cell phone video, we see nobody paralyzed. We see people yell and then they walk away, and then he says they went back out with his brother, and that's when he saw it. That's when it paralyzed, which is different than the first story. Anyway, go back and look what I said. Just rehashing some stuff over here. Okay, now I'm going to read my notes here after I read this. Okay. 2 officers were back on that. 2 officers were on that property, and 2 officers for a certain period of time, one longer than the other, were in the backyard with the family. And you need to listen to what I'm saying here, okay? Before I show these 2 video clips, and they're just excerpts pertaining to this podcast, you can see the longer ones in the other podcasts, and I'll have the links to the Vegas Blue Media so you can watch the whole thing, because people go out and they pick stuff out. I did the best I could with transcribing what was said pertinent to me. May not be pertinent to you, but pertinent to me as best I could. Some of it's verbatim, and some is not. So also keep in mind that at the time the 2 officers were there together, both their body cameras are picking up the identical audio and video. And I rechecked that video 20 ways to Sunday to see if it was manipulated or anything else was deleted out from what we saw. And other than the redacted versions, I don't have any reason to believe that that body cam video was messed with in any way other than the redaction. So I'm just putting that out. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I started this story. I broke this story, okay? And now I think it's a hoax. Yes, I think it's a hoax. No spacecraft, no thing. I started it, and I have to finish it like I do with every other investigation and say we're far, far away from the conclusion of this total investigation. So enough of that. I said that enough times. Okay, this is transcription that I transcribed from Officer DP68, Officer Matthew Muzdecker, and then sometimes the other officer will be talking too. But just so you get a gist, listen to what I'm saying here, and I'm just doing this. And when we play the video, you'll have an idea of what they're saying, and a little bit more what they say. Remember, in Zulu time, when you see it up, people get confused. Remember, the Zulu time is 7 hours after. So the time when it shows 0756 Zulu, it's actually 1256 hours on May 1st, 2023. And then when it starts, you'll see DP68 in the car. It starts at 1256 on May 1st in the morning. And he says, he's talking to the dispatch, both units will advise if we see little green men. He's talking to the dispatcher or somebody, Sergeant, I don't know who he's talking to, but he says that over the radio, okay? Then at 0103, and this also confirms what was said on that Communications Bureau log. I didn't see any inconsistency between the log I have and what's on that body cam. And I'm just saying that from an investigative standpoint. You may not care about it, but I do. So It's 0103. That's 1:03 a.m. on May 1st. 1DP62 is on the radio, and he says, we'll be out with the PR person reporting. Remember, he's the backup, and he got there first because Muzdeka, before he gets there, he's like looking around the neighborhood, maybe for aliens and stuff. So, okay. Now, at 1:04, DP68, Muzdeka is out of the car. And I say he's out of the car walking up the driveway, and you'll see that on the video excerpts. And then officer says, did you see it? Angel says, yeah, me and him saw it, meaning his brother. He's looking at his brother. Officer, what did you see? Brother, and the brother says, it was like a big creature. Officer, a big creature? Brother, yeah, about 10 feet tall. Officer, I'm not going to BS you guys. One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too, so that's why I'm kind of curious. Now, he's there at the same time his partner's there, so they're together at this point, okay? Officer, did you see something land in your backyard? Now, the father, listen to what the father says. They see like a big. That's what they saw. They see like a big something with lights. I have a big yard in the back you can see. Okay. Father, they saw the thing coming down, not the father. Contradictory to what Angel says back and forth and what we just discussed earlier. Just keep that in mind. Officer, I see a cat over there. He's shining his light in the yard. You'll see that. Officer, do you have cameras? Father, one camera, it's on the post, meaning the camera that I saw on May 27th that belongs to the landlord. Okay? Mother, only the owner who can see the camera. The mother interjects. And it's now 1:05 hours, 1:05 in the morning. Officer to the mother, did you see it? I'm kind of curious now. Mother, no. She didn't see nothing. She says, the cop, no. I look at the phone. I say, I want to record something. It's hard to say what she's saying, but the cop doesn't respond and say, like, what phone, what are you talking about? That's all I make it out. She says, did you see something? The officer asks her. She says, no. I look at the iPhone. I say, I want to record something. That's all I can make out at that point, okay? Officer, where did they go? Listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. He's asking them, where did they go, meaning these creatures? The father says, well, they say, come on, I will show you. Not that I saw. They say, meaning, again, Angel and his brother. The officer, do you have a dirt backyard? Can you show me where, if there's and now the time is 1:05, it stops. They're headed to the gate that goes to the backyard. The body cam video goes black on Officer Muzdeka's phone the minute they enter that gate in the backyard. It comes back on at 1:09, so we have 4 minutes redacted by the police of when that officer's camera is in the backyard. The other officer's with them, but we'll leave that for the other thing when I read the other officer stuff. So Muzdeka goes back with the family, 4 minutes unknown. Now it comes back on again at 1:09, and you'll see the officer is now at the front of the home. And the officer says to somebody, I don't know which one he's talking to, he says, did you see them go anywhere? And a voice says no. I think that's the brother. Okay? The officer said, officer, did they probably go that way? And because now they're at the front of the house. Like, where could have they gone? Because they didn't see nothing in the yard, so now he's at the front of the house. And then, remember, Muzdeka is the guy that stops the car in the street earlier. I don't have that in there. I left that out because we saw that in the other podcast. Because the mother, remember on May 19th, that the mother told me she was upset because the police basically told the whole neighborhood when they stopped the car that the family saw aliens and she was upset. Hold that thought for a second, because she was upset with the police. And he did. We saw that. He did go up and tell the police, yeah, the family saw aliens and this and look around, all that type of stuff. But hold that thought for a second because there's something else in here that I didn't notice when I first watched the video, the body cam video. Okay. Now, at 01:12 hours, Muzdeka leaves, okay, because he's going to go search the neighborhood. The other cop is still in the backyard, Curtis Slate. Hope I don't have these officers reversed, but I think my notes are okay. He's still in the backyard with the family, and I'm going to get to something on this too that bothers me with that. Okay, now at 1:12 hours, Officer Musdecker enters his vehicle. He tells his partner over the radio, I'm going to go ATL. Remember, the other guy's still in the backyard at this time. Means attempt to locate. He's going to go look for aliens, which he should do. I mean, you don't know if they're aliens, creatures, crazy people with a suit on, kids making a joke. You go and you investigate, so he's doing what he should be doing. He says, I don't want to lose it if there's something here, meaning the aliens, the people, the creatures, the people, they could be anybody, okay? So he says that over the radio. As he drives away, over the radio, you're going to hear in the audio, this is what I got a problem with, one of the things, his partner tells him, says, we're going to check the shed. And then Musdecker replies, there's a shed? And the officer, he says, what shed are you checking? And he says, I'm going to run to the end of the street, and then I'm coming back, and that's at 1:12 to 1:16 hours. He's still patrolling in the vehicle for like 4 minutes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what I have a problem with is, at least me, I've been out of police work for 30 years, but I still think like a cop. Okay, when they got there, the family is telling them they saw creatures in the backyard. Okay, those creatures could have been crazy people, human beings with costumes, who knows, an animal. They go in the backyard with the family, and that bothers me because they didn't clear the backyard. So you're taking civilians into an uncleared area that possibly may have an animal or bad people back there that you may end up in a deadly force incident, and you got now civilians in there. That part of this bothers me, okay? And we know that because when you hear the audio, when he's in the car on this video I'm going to play, you'll hear his partner come on the radio, I'm checking the shed. Well, what shed? Okay? And my other thing is, why did he leave his partner back there with the family if the entire area, not only the backyard, but then the rear yard, you go through the gate, like I said in the last podcast, why did he leave him alone when the guy's still checking the shed? What if there were bad guys in there, not creatures? What if there was an animal in there or crazy people, and the partner has to use deadly force? Now he's there by himself, and he has no backup. He has civilians with him. That whole thing kind of bothers me, but it just bothers me because I'm an ex-cop. Anyway, I just threw that out there. Okay. 0117, you'll see, like I said, he's still out there patrolling. And then at 1:17 in the morning, Musdecker's in the car. There's a car coming down the street. You'll see that in the video. And it pulls up alongside his cruiser, and a voice says, say they are looking for the alien. And Musdecker responds, oh, you're looking for the alien? Okay, and they both laugh. I believe the car that pulls up with him is the car that he originally stopped earlier that you will not see on this excerpt because I got to do short excerpts, so I don't have like 10 hours for the thing to upload. But I believe the car is the car with the people in it that he said the family saw the aliens, and they're now looking for aliens, and you'll see something else later on when they actually say that, they're looking for aliens, okay? So you'll see that on the video. Nothing wrong with that. Neighborhood watch, you don't look for criminals. You look for aliens too. So you got to do that. I'm just being facetious and making fun of this thing, but okay. 0122. DP68 Musdecker pulls back into the driveway of the home. And he tells the family, quote, your neighbors are still going around looking. Meaning the car that just stopped him, that I believe was the car that he said the families are aliens, he's telling them now, your neighbors are still going around looking for aliens or creatures. He tells that to the family. And then he asks the family, we had this in the other podcast, but I got in my transcription here, do you guys have, I'm sorry, no surveillance, no video? And then Angel says, the cameras don't belong to us. At 0123 hours, the family member that I showed with the beard that was standing there with the 3 photos from the body cam I showed earlier, that I don't know who he is, I never spoken to that guy, he says to the cop, the landlord's got a camera on the post over here, I'll show you. And you can see in the video, he starts to go through the gate, but then he stops because Officer DP62 Slate interrupts and says to Musdecker, they don't have access to it. The landlord has access to it. So the family member doesn't go back and show him because Musdecker's now, remember, Slate's with the family the whole time when Musdecker leaves. So he's telling them they don't have access to it. The landlord's got access to it. Ladies and gentlemen, this body cam video is very important, and You understand here why? Just bear with me. Okay, 01:23 hours. They're now leaving the property. Okay, it's like I said, 1:23. So the cop was not back there when he took the photo of the circle at 1:37 because they were gone at 1:23. So 1:23, officer says to his partner, let's just regroup over here. Okay, and at 1:24, Decker is in the car on the radio, and he says, code 4, end of call, will reactivate if any anomalies are located. So now I'm going to show the short clip of Officer Decker. Listen and watch this. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a reason, other than the reasons I just said, there's a reason why we're watching this. Okay? And I think some of you are starting to realize why I said that. So.
BP68 copy, both units en route. We'll advise if we see any little green men.
I'll leave the lights on and the light goes to the right side. One DG62, probably out of
Did you see it?
Huh?
Did you see it?
Yeah, me and him saw it.
What'd you see?
It was like a big creature.
A big creature?
Yeah, like around 10 feet tall.
Because I'm not going to BS you guys. One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too, so that's why I'm kind of curious. Did you see anything land in your backyard, or?
They see like a big, that's what they say. They see like a big something with lights.
Can we go that side?
I have a picture in the back. You can see.
I see a cat over there.
No, please, can you check because this people is not gonna let you see. Oh yeah, I bet.
Do you have cameras?
One camera, but it's not the company. I'm gonna take the camera.
Orlando is the only one who can see the camera.
Did you see it? No? I'm kind of curious now. I want to know if there's aliens.
I was with the iPhone. I said, let me. I want to.
It was like very big.
Record something.
Where did they go?
Well, they say that. I'm gonna show you.
You have a dirt backyard. Can you show me if there's a? And I'm sorry. Did you see them go anywhere? No. No, you didn't. You saw? Did they probably go that way? Hey, oh wait. Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna go ATL, okay? I don't want to lose it if there's something here. So.
No, we didn't check it out. We're gonna check this shed real quick. Just.
Is there a shed?
I'll come out to you, and then we'll go ATL.
What shed are you checking?
Yeah, we check back there. I'll be out there to you in a minute, okay?
All right, let me, hey, I'm just going to run to the end of the street, and then I'm... Okay, I'm going to run to the end of the street, and then I'm coming back, okay?
Alright, we're just looking for the alien.
Oh, you're looking for the alien? Okay.
I copy. I'll walk pretty much this entire desert area. I'm not seeing anything. We couldn't even have Wait, bro. Why am I the only one who's like, okay? Weird. This is like the hard part that saw something at the same exact time. I put it one back. I put it on my feet. I put it back. I was like,
Your neighbor's still going around looking, so...
Yeah.
Did you guys have, I'm sorry, no surveillance, no video?
The cameras don't belong to us.
That's from the company camera. So, no, the post, one of the posts.
The landlord got a camera on the post here. Over here, I'll show you.
Well, they don't see it. Yeah, the landlord has it, so they don't have access to it. But
Okay.
someone else has access to it. So, yeah, like I said, we'll ATL the area and we'll be around here for the night.
I'm going to the hotel, man.
Yeah. I don't blame you. All right, man. We appreciate you calling. Give us a call if you see
I wanted to
anything.
find some aliens. Well, hey, if those 9-foot beings come back into your backyard, you call the police and we'll come back here. Okay?
If those
Yeah.
things come back, don't call us, all right? Deal with it yourself. I ain't dealing with that.
Somebody call NASA. Tell them stop.
I'll drive by and wave at you guys. You're on your own, bro.
All right, take care, guys. Have a good one. All right, so let's just regroup over here, okay? Go for it.
Go for it.
Way from Centennial Hospital, 945-6900 north of Rainville. Thanks to Blue Shirt, Great Left Hand.
Camera off, code 4. End of call. We'll reactivate if any anomalies are located.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of Officer Muzdeka, DP68, the body cam. Remember, those are excerpts, so you see the time going. That didn't flow through. I'm just putting the excerpts that are important to this podcast. And then the time again, when you see 0803, 0803 Zulu is actually 0100, 01 in the morning. So it's 1 o'clock a.m. because they do Zulu time, and I said that's the Greenwich Mean Time, Universal Coordinated Time. So it makes time all over the world. The military uses it, a lot of police. So the time is the same all over. You don't need to know that, but people say, well, I saw 08, like 8 o'clock in the morning. No, it's 7 hours back, makes it 1 o'clock in the morning. So just you forgot it. Now, did you notice something, not the point I'm trying to make here yet, but do you notice when they're talking in front of the garage and the police blurt out, you can't see the people and you can't see what's in the garage? And I said this in the other podcast, if there was something in the backyard that the police didn't want the public to see, like, maybe cars or something like that, that's all they had to do was block out the whole screen, but you would still hear the audio of the officers talking to the family. And that bothers me still to this day of why we don't even have audio. We have no video, but we don't have any audio. And they could have done the same thing they did in the front of the house to the garage. So that's troubling to me still from an investigative standpoint. Now, one other point I wanted to make there. Anyway, I remember. I actually recorded this earlier, and I had some technical problems. I had to do the whole damn thing over again because something with the audio wasn't coming through, and I fixed it. So I'm doing this for like the second time in like 3 freaking hours. So you start going batty. But there was one more thing I wanted to put out about. Okay, it's not important. Okay, now this is my transcription. I said some of it's verbatim, some's not. Of what I did. Now, this is Officer Slate's body cam video. And again, there is some overlap because some of the officers are talking at the same time, him and Muzdeka, when they're there. But remember, Musdecker, 4 minutes, they redacted because he takes off and then he goes, searches the neighborhood, which he should have done. You know, go back and look for aliens, bad guys, creatures, crazy people. You have no idea. People say I saw an alien. It could be, you know, kids playing pranks. It could be a crazy person. You don't know. So that's the way I would have handled it. And I think he did good going around looking for something. Okay. Now, Officer Curtis Slate, he's the one that's back in the yard with the family for 20 minutes of unredacted. And it's actually 16 minutes. You'll see the black thing when it comes up. It says 20 minutes gone. It's not 20 minutes. I checked. It's actually 16 minutes, which is a long time, where we have no video and audio on Officer Slate. So I said 0103. TP62 says over the radio. I said that before on the other one. Out with PR, reporting person. He's at the house. Walks up there. Hey, what's up? Who called? Angel. I called. Okay. I was on the other side, listen to this, helping my dad to clear the yard because we were working on a truck. Working with his dad, clearing up the yard, working on a truck. Working on a truck, and we were checking, okay, and we were putting everything inside the rear yard, me and my father. Again, to me, that's another contradiction, okay? You may not think so, but there's contradictions after contradictions with everything on this whole thing, okay? Officer, did you see it? Angel, UH, okay, Officer, did you see it? Angel, yeah, me and him saw it, pointing to his brother. Officer, what did you see? Brother, it was like a big creature. Officer, a big creature? Brother, yeah, like around 10 feet tall. Officer, I'm not going to BS you guys. One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too, so that's why I'm kind of curious. Officer, did you see anything land in your backyard? Or the father interrupts and says, they say, we saw that in the video, they say like a big, that's what they say. They see like a big something with light. Again, the father is saying he didn't see crap. The kid saw it. Angel interrupts the father. You see that on the video. Can we go unintelligible? I believe there he's saying, can we go in the backyard? Okay, and you'll see that's where they head. Okay, officer, any dogs or anything? Because they're going into the backyard. Mother, no. Okay, can you check because these kids are not going to let me sleep? That's what the mother says. Officer, oh yeah, I bet. I wouldn't be sleeping either. And there's voices in the background asking about cameras. I believe that's the other officer, DP68, talking at the same time. Angel, I know you guys probably think this is crazy, but, officer, people see things all the time, but it could be real, you never know. I like the shirt, though, meaning Angel's shirt. Remember, these are two cops that were never there. Because Angel said to me on May 19th, they showed up and they left. They didn't do nothing. They were out of there. They were scared of the UFO, which is a lie because you see all this interaction that happened with the family. Okay? Okay. Officer, people see things all the time, but it could be real. You never know. I like the shirt, though. Angel, I don't believe in it, but what I saw right, now I do believe in it. I'm scared. Okay? Didn't look scared to me on that video, but I wasn't there. Cop thinks he was scared. Officer, you guys seem legit scared, so I don't blame you. The time is now 0105 hours. Angel and the officer enter the gate that leads to the backyard. The officer's body-worn camera footage is now blacked out from when the police gave that to the news, to Vegas Blue Media and other news media that requested it, for approximately 16 minutes. Remember, on the screen it's going to say 20, but it's actually 16 minutes blacked out. Now at 021, the footage resumes. Now we see the mother and the brother in the front of the home. 021 hours still, the mother says to the son, what's the SUV going around and around for? And I believe she's talking about what I just discussed, what you saw in that other video, is the neighbor's car that's going around looking for the aliens and the creatures. It's going around the neighborhood, so that's what she says to the son. Okay. Angel says to the officer, ladies and gentlemen, this is freaking important. Not the big important, but important. Because remember I said on May 19th, the mother was upset. She said that the cop told everybody knows about in the neighborhood because the cop stopped the car and told the neighbors they saw aliens, which he did. He did do that, okay? I said that in the other podcast. But listen to this. I didn't catch this the first time. Angel says to the officer, I told my neighbor what we saw. He said, no way. Get the security camera. I got to see it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me read that again. You'll hear this in the video, on the body cam video I'm going to show now. Angel says to the officer, I told my neighbor what we saw. He said, no way. Get the security camera. I got to see it. He's saying he told the neighbor, and the neighbor's saying, get the security camera. That's supposedly in the backyard. He wants to see it. See the creatures, whatever he's telling the neighbor that he saw. But ladies and gentlemen, when the hell did Angel talk to the neighbor? He obviously didn't talk to the neighbor when the cop was in the backyard with them. First of all, it's got a 6-foot wall going around, if not taller, because the cop would have been there and saw him talking to the neighbor. So why would he tell the cop, hey, the cop was in the backyard with him, he saw the neighbor, the cop knows. But when they come back, he says, I told my neighbor what we saw. He said, no way, get the security camera, I got to see it. You'll see that on the body cam. And that's important because Angel never said that to me. The mother's saying, well, the cops dimed them out. And the cop did say, I'd already said that 100 times, did stop the car that you don't see in this video. We saw it in the other one and said to the neighbors that they saw aliens over there and you see anything, blah, blah. But now Angel's saying that he's telling the cop, I told my neighbor what we saw. He said, no way, get the security camera, I got to see it. Okay? When did Angel talk to the neighbor? He obviously didn't talk to the neighbor when the cops were there. Now remember this, ladies and gentlemen. Go back to the first video when I told Angel that, it came down about 10 minutes before midnight. He says, around midnight, okay? We know for a fact, because we got video, that meteor that was coming down, and I have no doubt it was a meteor, okay, came down at 11:49. That's when it was seen on the cameras. The body camera from the cop that day and the other video that I showed real clear on that other home on the south side of the strip. He did not call Metro, according to his phone, to 12:25, okay? That's over 30 minutes. If the video and there's people on YouTube saying that how do we know that video in the yard that they showed was recorded that night? Well, we really don't, okay? Because we have to see the metadata in the original video. But I did some checking, I'm doing all this investigation, and I see Angel and the brother are wearing the same clothes and hat and shoes in that when they're in the backyard that he showed on his YouTube, and then the cousin issued the rest of it. The father, it's the same thing that when they're in the front of the house, when I'm looking at the body camera and their feet and their clothes, they have the same clothes on. The only thing I see different is when the father is in that video, when they're in the backyard, that Angel showed, the father has like jeans on and sports shoes. And then when the cops are coming, he has like a robe, which I can't tell if he's got the jeans on or not. But his shoes are different because he has open sandals. So maybe he just didn't want to wait for the cops and he got comfortable and put his robe on. But there are people on YouTube, on social media saying, how do we know that thing was recorded? Well, yeah, we don't. And if you want to record a video, if you're smart, later on, you would have to say, well, when the cops are out here, we have to put the same clothes on. And that's just my speculation. But that's out there on social media. But it appears to me that video probably was taken May 1st, but I don't know 100% because there's no time and date on it. So I'm just bringing that out. So here's the crucial thing. When did Angel talk to the neighbor? Between the time of 11:50 and when he called the cops? Or after he called the cops, the half hour before the police arrived, did he go and knock on doors and talk to the neighbor? Because he never told me he did that, but he's telling the police that I told my neighbor what we saw. He said, no way, get the security camera. I want to see it. That bothers me too. Just another discrepancy, whatever you want to call it, with this. And then the officer and the family are all talking at the same time, and now it's 1:22 hours, 1:22 in the morning. The mother, and now the camera is blurred out, not to show what's in the garage. Again, they could have done that. If they didn't want to show something in the backyard, then they should have blurred it out and showed us, at least we hear the video. I mean, at least we hear the audio. But the mother says, the camera's blurred out, but I don't believe, but I don't see, this is the best I can make out, not that I don't think it's important. The other officer, that's what she says, and they're all interrupting each other, talking at the same time. The mother says, This is when the camera's blurred out in the front. But I don't believe, but I don't see. And then the other officer, who's now DP 168, he says no cameras, no surveillance. Angel says the cameras don't belong to us. We heard that on the other one. Officer Slate, he says the cameras are on the post. The landlord has access to it. Someone else has access to it because he was in the backyard while the other guy left, and he saw. They were probably telling about the surveillance camera that he saw the same thing I saw. So that's what he's telling the officer. And then at 1:23 hours in the morning, 01:23, the officer's walking to his car, and the time on the property, total time from the time they arrived to the time they left, ladies and gentlemen, and they're interacting with the family, is a total of 20 minutes. Okay, that's the total time they are on the property. And then remember, there's 4 minutes missing from the other guy. So the total time they're on the property from the time they muck out, including counting the redacted time that's from the video, is about 20 minutes total that I got. Now, ladies and gentlemen, have you figured it out yet? Because I totally missed this. Okay? There's no mention on either body cam video that we see where the family is telling him, or Angel, or the father, or the brother, describing what they described to me, and what you heard Angel say in the YouTube videos. The thing came down from the sky. It was blurry. I saw sparks. I saw smoke. I saw blurriness. 2 creatures walking away. I saw the creatures. One was sitting in the forklift, which was the front loader. They call it a forklift. The other one was peeking out. They had eyes. Why isn't that any conversation that we hear on the body cam video? Now, as an investigator, I say maybe that was discussed in the backyard. But I don't believe so, ladies and gentlemen, because when his partner comes back and says, do you have any surveillance or anything? He doesn't say to the partner, boy, do we only have, they have a camera back there. But hey, they showed me the cell phone video. There's supposed to be creatures walking around in there. And one of them was in the front loader. And we have a circle in the backyard. That thing landed over there. There's no mention of the cell phone video to the police that we could hear on those body cams. There's no mention of the creature being inside the front loader, that they saw them, no mention of them being paralyzed. And the reason why I'm saying this, ladies and gentlemen, okay, let's talk about that, is, okay, had they told them that, now I don't know how Metro works, but if I was a police officer and the call is something came down, the family says, yeah, you know, this, we saw creatures. They show me a cell phone video that they think the creatures are seen. They're running away back to the house because they're scared. One of the creatures was sitting in the forklift or the front loader. They have a circle over there. To me, it's like, shouldn't they call the sergeant up? If all this happened, the family told them all this, say, Sarge, you need to come out here. We got a bizarre situation. We have a circle. Like the kid said. The kid says, guys are in the circle. Okay? We have video. They have cell phone video, Sarge. There's supposedly something moving there. They say the creatures are in this video. One of the creatures was sitting in the forklift. What if it wasn't a creature? What if it was just guys trying to do something? But none of that happened, ladies and gentlemen, because the sergeant would come out. Maybe we need to get crime scene analyst out here, okay? Or maybe it was something that landed. Maybe we need to get other people on the phone, some other agencies. Maybe we need to call Armor, the people that do radiological testing or something. None of that happened, ladies and gentlemen. Because I don't believe the family told them any of that. I don't think the brothers told them anything that they told me, because there's no mention on the body cam video. And like I said, if they told that to Officer Slate in the backyard while Muzdecker is looking for the aliens, when he comes back and he says, do you have any video? That cop would have told him, oh, not only do we have video in the backyard, the landlord's got it, but you got to watch the cell phone video. We got to go back and check. One of the creatures was in the thing. And if they would have went back there and told him that, crime scene comes out, maybe there would be DNA, there'd be fingerprints of whoever. Well, this is what I'm thinking, but none of that's mentioned on the body cam, okay? Then again, is that why the body cam is redacted? Because they did tell the cops that, and Metro doesn't want people to know? We don't know, because we don't have that part of the redaction. And like I said, family, you now have an attorney. If you're all on the level, the attorney can request by Metro to the family, because it was on their property. They already showed video of the backyard. They released the body cam, not the body cam, they released their YouTube video when they're backyard, and supposedly they're scared and they're talking the language. And we have the angel release more shots when he's on the YouTube channel of the podcast. He turns it around. He's showing the the front loader, excuse me. He's showing still shots of him sitting in the circle where you see the cars back there. So what's the big secret? Okay. That bothers me. Okay. Just want to make sure we get everything out here. Why did he leave the partner? We already said that. Yeah. What if the parents? Okay. The film, you show the cell phone. Yeah. It's again. There's nothing on that video that they showed or mentioned anything to the cops about the whole story that they told me or what he said on the YouTube channel. And to me, that shows that something's wrong. At least we don't see it, okay, or hear it. If no, then why not? Was it said is in the backyard, tightening the retractor? Redacted. We don't know. Why wasn't the sergeant called? Front loader could have had crime scene evidence in there. Yeah, okay. I don't know. I'm just bringing it out because as an investigator, it bothers me. So, another thing, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close this down. Like I said, I still got more I'm doing on this, but right now I'm calling a hoax on this. I'm still by it's a hoax. Not a hoax that they saw something down from the sky. We know that's not a hoax because something was coming down from the sky. Not a hoax that the cameras were put in the house. Okay, that's not a hoax. We know the cameras were put in there. Okay, Metro admitted it, but gave us a bullshit reason that we're supposed to believe that it's not true. As far as I'm telling you, you can believe what you want, and then we have what they saw in the backyard, and I said that. I think they saw a shadow. If they're talking demons, like everything Angel's saying and all this other stuff, and he's talking the family, and they saw something. But there is nothing in those videos, okay? I don't want to see any more videos. I did it myself. There's not 2. The cousin said there's now 4 aliens back there. There's nothing, okay? There's nothing back there. So to me, that is a hoax. The hoax is there was no spacecraft, UFO landing in that yard on May 1st. There were no non-human creatures back there. What they saw, they thought they saw, I don't know. But they certainly didn't see creatures as far as I'm concerned. And this whole thing that you don't hear about any of this on the body cam video is extremely disturbing. But we need to find out what was redacted on that backyard, because there's no reason to redact anything in that backyard when the cars and everything have already been shown. Channel 8 had the damn overhead the drone, and we all saw the forklifts and all the stuff on the property, so there's no secret back there, okay? Get your attorney to have Metro release the unredacted body cam so we could see and hear what's in that backyard. Whether that will ever happen, I don't know. One more thing, I got a lot more stuff I'm working on, but I can't talk on it now. Remember when the cop left and he said, hey, if you see him, you got a problem, call us back, we'll come back. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, on the YouTube channel. And then even Angel said to me in that interview on May 27th, okay, that after the cops left, they heard footsteps on the roof, they heard screams, there's somebody rattling the door, okay? Why didn't they call the police back and the police go back and say, guys, we got something screaming in the yard, we got people walking around on the roof, they're turning doorknobs, there's rattling. All that sounds to me like any conglomeration of UFO stories and paranormal stuff that you see in movies and on the air that I think these kids just did, okay? That's my opinion, okay? If they have evidence, like he said, more video where you actually see a creature, they need to produce it. But they're not going to produce it, ladies and gentlemen, because they don't have it. This is a hoax, as far as I'm concerned. But there's other aspects of this that I'm looking into that are still under investigation by me. So, ladies and gentlemen, got a lot more stuff coming out on a lot of other topics, including this is still under investigation, like I said. You all have a good evening. We're 1 hour and 39 minutes, and we will see you on the on the next episode. I just want to make sure I didn't forget anything, because sometimes I put out, and I think I said everything I wanted to say, and then I look at something. That's why I throw all these papers on the floor as I'm taking my notes. That's, I guess, if there's anything, I'll pick it up on another podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, you all have a good evening, and we'll see you on the next podcast.
lawman sacrificed his badge for justice.
Poppa knew a secret that could free a man wrongfully imprisoned for shooting his ex-wife. But when Poppa stepped forward, he was cut down by his own police department.
All this stuff's going in my head. Should I call up to the defense attorney? Okay? And I knew if I did that, holy hell would break loose.
Deputy Sheriff Doug Poppa used to be one of the top cops in rural Loudoun County, Virginia. Deputy Poppa feels he's been busted himself. He lost his job as a narcotics investigator, he says, when he told an ugly truth about a 4-year-old crime. The truth about how his own department and the local prosecutor allegedly ignored key evidence and may have sent an innocent man to jail.
I testified, and everything changes.
What Deputy Poppa testified about was an attempted murder in 1987.
They deliberately withheld evidence that should have been given to my defense attorneys.
Bill Birch is the prosecutor Deputy Poppa accused of ignoring the evidence.
He says, I told the prosecutor, I told Mr. Birch that this woman said, I'm going to shoot myself if need be, and I'm going to make it look like my husband did it just to ruin his life. Did he say that to you?
No, he did not.
But this November, the court believed Doug Poppa.
Oh my goodness, is this the reception committee?
And on Valentine's Day, William Carter was released on a $50,000 bond and given a new trial.
This man usually puts people on trial in this courthouse, but in a rare turn of events, the Loudoun County Commonwealth Attorney was called to the witness stand. William Birch was asked to respond to allegations that he pressured a witness to lie in earlier court proceedings.
No, sir.
A woman who lived at the Carter mansion the night Carol Vandergrift Carter was shot 5 years ago testified that the prosecutor coached her to withhold testimony about the gun involved.
I certainly did tell him about that it was a .38.
I don't recall her saying anything about the gun, a .38 caliber, anything like that.
He's lying to cover his tracks on the last trial.
The high price one cop is paying for telling the truth.
After serving more than 4 years behind bars, Carter was on the edge of his seat when the verdict was read today.
We, the jury, on Each's joint, find the defendant William Douglas Carter not guilty.
After he audibly thanked the jury, Douglas Carter could not contain himself. The tears flowed.
When I came out and testified in November of 1991 at the habeas corpus hearing, and again in January, I was suspended for 10 days without pay, and I ended up being fired after 12 years in this department.